Good morning, everyone. This is Kunal here. Today, we are going to read chapter 8, which is Human's Memory. As a student, does it every intrigue you that what mental processes are essential for good academic performance? How do you remember the birthday of your close friend? Has it ever happened with you that you fail to recognize a known person? Think about the above questions and many more daily based experiences of human life. These situations demand coordination among various mental processes such as perception, learning, and memory. For example, a good score in exam is a result of learning the study material well and retrieving and learn information during exam without failure or forgetting. So let us try to understand what these mental processes really are. As you are already studied, learning refers to a relatively permanent change in behavior due to training or experience. Learning plays a central role in every sphere of life, either social or personal. But learning is not only mental processes, essential is maintaining and performing daily life tasks. Memory also plays an integral function. Memory is a central cognitive process which deals a vital role in human life. Memory helps us to retain the learned information, experience of past, present, which contributes in performing future plans and actions. Memory facilitates the process of learning. We have to be independent of memory to recall the facts, events, and experiences. For example, as an individual knows how to drive a car but does not drive on a everyday basis, yet when an occasion comes when he or she needs to drive his or her loved one to hospital, he will immediately recall the learned rules and perform the skills to fulfill the need for that particular moment. This represents the importance of memory. This chapter aims to provide understanding about the process of memory and technique to enhance one's memory. Nature of memory. The word memory originates from the Latin word memoria and memor, meaning mindful and remembering, respectively. The term memory can be better understood as the process of maintaining information over time. It can also be understood as the means by which we draw our past experiences in order to use this information in the present. Memory involves processing of vast amount of information in different forms such as echoic, iconic, and meaning. Memory serves several functions. First, memory provides continuity for consciousness. Second, it helps in effectively dealing with the situations at hand by utilizing essential skills. Third, it helps in enriching our social and emotional experiences by effective planning and performance. How this exactly happens will be clear by understanding the processes or stages of memory. Memory processes. Memory processes can be understood in three stages. They can be easily memorized as three R's of the memory: register, retain, and retrieve. Register, retain, and retrieve. Encoding or registration. Encoding the process of converting the sensory information using from the environment that can be registered in the memory system. These are three types involved in the encoding processes: receiving, processing, and combining information. For example, you listen to a song in a party and you like this song, so try to understand its lyrics. When you convert this auditory signal into the echoic unit, that it can be stored into the memory system. It is called the process of encoding. Storage is the process of converting the incoming information into the permanent records so that it can be accessed later when needed. To take the example forward, once you understand the lyrics, you try to store it in the memory either through maintenance rehearsal or by reception of the song, or through elaborative rehearsal. When you comprehend the meaning and the associates it with your own feelings, this is called the process of storage. Retrieval is the process of location and the leveling of the stored information from the storehouse of the consciousness at the time of need. You imagine what you are enjoying and some leisure time feels like singing song, so you would perhaps recall the song you encode and restore. Once retrieved, you would play it and probably sing along with it. This perception, the process of retrieval of memory, encoding, storage, and retrieval. Stages of memory. Interruption to any stage will affect the fortifying stage of memory and may also results in forgetting of stored information. Modules of memory. There are uh, there are different models of memory which helps in understanding the underlying process of memory. First, Atkinson and the Shrinkage model. The model is also known as information processing models as well as model model. Atkinson and the Shrimpkin noticed that human memory and computer system processes information in similar fashion, where information processed through the three stages of memory. First is encoding, second is storage, third is retrieval. This model processes these systems of memory and therefore it is sometimes called the stage. These systems are sensory memory, the short-term memory and the long-term memory. Each one of these systems have different features and perform different functions in relation to memory. Sensory input, sensory memory, short-term memory and then long-term memory. Human memory system and its three components. First, sensory memory. Information from the environment first enters a sensory memory through the senses. These are various incoming sensation at which given point is time. Therefore, sensory memory has a large capacity. However, it stays for a very short duration, that is less than a second. For example, at present you can hear the sound of the traffic at distance or air coming from the fan and lecture of the teacher of the sound on the pages turning. All the information is entering your sensory memory, but it is further processed into short-term memory only if you pay attention to it. Short-term memory. Information that is attended by the sensory system enters a short-term system STM. Short-term memory holds limited information for a brief period of time, which is more than sensory memory but less than long-term memory. That is less than 30 seconds. If the information is not rehearsed at this stage, it faces difficulty if process the information to the next stage of memory. These are two types of rehearsal: maintenance and elaborative rehearsal. Maintenance rehearsal is also referred as rote learning, whereas constant repetition of the information helps in retaining the information in consciousness for some time. Whereas the elaborative rehearsal is more detailed in nature. In elaborative rehearsal, the information is retained through forming connections of the new information with previously learned material. Long term memory. Information enters the final stage of memory, which is long term memory, through the elaborative rehearsal. It has a vast capacity for an unlimited period of time as it is permanent storehouse for all information. Once the information enters the long term memory story, it is very it is never forgotten because it is encoded semantically or based on the meaning of the information. Types of memory. Memory can be classified based on different criteria such as nature of material, span of time, amount of information. The classification given below is widely accepted among the scientific community and the ease of grasp. Based on this classification, memory can be divided into two types, that is implicit and the explicit memory. Implicit memory, it is also referred as consciousness memory or automatic memory. Implicit memory is a type of memory where wherein the task is performed without putting conscious effort, is processing the recalling of previous experiences or information. For example, moving the function of the implicit memory because the process of walking happens automatically or without mental efforts. Procedural memory is a subtype of implicit memory. It is required for these tasks where motor skills are required. For example, while riding a cycle, cyclists do not need to recall the steps of the riding each time. Explicit memory, it refers to a declarative memory which requires consciousness effort of recalling the previous experience and information. Declarative memory involves both episodic and semantic memory. Episodic memory, it is a type of memory which stores the information related with the events and connections between those events. It refers to the personal experience. Example, I have a psychology class tomorrow 9:30 a.m. My birthday comes on 20th December every year. Semantic memory, it contrasts to episodic memory. Semantic memory includes the organized knowledge which is general in nature. Example, Indira Gandhi was the first woman Prime Minister of India, or Hg is the symbol of Mercury. Forgetting, have you experienced the blankness during exam for which you were well prepared, or have you had the moment when you forgot those things your mother asked you to get from the grocery shop? Hermann Hemingway was the first psychologist who systematically studied the nature of forgetting. He utilized nonsense syllables and constant vowel uh, uh, consonant CVC trigrams in his experiment, where he attempted to measure the nature of forgetting in terms of number of trials a participant took to relearn the same list at verifying time intervals. Based on his experiment, Evengues proposed the model of forgetting, which states that the rate of forgetting is maximum in the first 9 hours, particularly during the first hour. After that, the rate slows down and not much is forgotten even after many days. It can be well understood by observing Evengues forgetting curves in the figure 80.3. Causes of forgetting. Through though forgetting is an everyday human experience, but it is difficult to state what causes forgetting. There are several theories that state the cause of the forgetting in their own unique style. First, trace decay. One of the oldest theories of forgetting is trace theory, or also known as disguise theory. This theory states that memory leads to relatively permanent physical change in our central nervous system. These changes in brain are referred to as the memory traces. Memory traces stay in brain if constantly used to put that tend to disappear or fade away if you used for a long period of time. Fading away of this memory traces causes forgetting of the learned material or information. Although this sounds simple, but the theory has been criticized on several grounds. Based on the theory, it can be safely assumed that we memorize a list of words before going to sleep if we will forget it after waking up. But in reality, the opposite holds true. Interference theory. It states that forgetting occurs due to the interference between learned or memorized information. This theory assumes that learning or memorizing occurs due to formation of association between the old and the new information. Forgetting, according to this, occurs when either the new information interfaces with the recollection of the old information, or even old information interfaces the learning of the new information. However, interference plays a critical role at the time of retrieval when these various sets of associations compete with each other for retrieval. Two of the most common referred types of interferences are: first, proactive interference. Forward moving means that the old information interferes with the recollection of a new information. For example, imagine that your old car number was 2333 and your new present car number is 4535. When asked by traffic, when asked by traffic officer, you said that the old car number. This immediate recollection of the old information and blocking of a new information by old information is called proactive interference. Retroactive interference, backward moving, means when the old information is difficult to recall because it is blocked by the new information. For example, imagine you have changed your mobile number. After some time, when asked about the old number, you were saying you are unable to recall it. This is the example of the retroactive interference. Interference techniques of memory enhancing. This we will read tomorrow. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Kindly keep reading and keep studying.